Chapter 66. There was never enough time to prepare. That was always the problem of leadership, preparation, or, more precisely, the lack of it. In the case of the council, it was slated to be a consortium of equals, initially comprising Mahu, Sun Moon, Hunter, Wingmaker, Altar, Oriole, Joe, Soin, Obsidian, and of course, the Queen. However, the inherent imbalance called for more sea dragon representation, thus foretelling an expanding roster. The inaugural council meeting teetered on tardiness. Most members circled the fire pit, but 3 crucial seats stood vacant, evoking concerns about the absence of their dragon allies. There was a growing concern that their dragon friends had changed their minds and decided not to join the council. There was even a rumor that they had imprisoned Wingmaker, though it was unclear how they would manage such a feat. One who stood up and cleared his throat.
I am not sure if we should meet if the other 3 parties do not show, but I wanted to make an announcement anyway, as it will impact our council.
He hesitated for a moment.
I have decided to retire, and in my place I have asked Sun Moon to take over the tribal leadership by consolidating our roles. She will continue to be our tribal shaman, but she will also lead all affairs of our tribe.
He paused and bowed to Sun Moon, who nodded in return. There were murmurs around the fire pit, and all of them seemed supportive.
Now, as many of you are aware, the Whisperer's health is declining,
One who announced with gravity.
Sun Moon has proposed Wingmaker as the new Whisperer. However, our tradition has always reserved this role for one of our own, never before given to an outsider. Hence, this decision will be subject to a vote, allowing the entire tribe to weigh in and determine our path forward.
Hunter smiled inwardly before speaking up.
If there's any worry about the tribe accepting Wingmaker as the Whisperer, you can put those concerns to rest. It's clear he'll get the votes. Despite being an outsider, no one questions his skills or his impartiality,
He remarked confidently.
And let's not forget, he gives us the gift of flight. That alone would sway the votes in his favor.
There were some cheers around the fire pit, and everyone nodded their heads in agreement. One who smiled, grateful for the reaction. Joe raised his hand.
What do werewolves do in retirement?
Well,
One who began with a contemplative tone.
there are numerous ways to stay active in retirement. Personally, I'm considering traveling to explore parts of our world I've yet to see, maybe even learn the art of making mouse stew.
He chuckled lightly.
Or perhaps just lounging on the beach. The possibilities are open, and I'm still figuring it out.
A werewolf with your wisdom and experience. You should be a teacher.
Joe remarked, stating it as a matter of fact.
Well, thank you for that. I will certainly consider it.
One who replied graciously. Altar stood up and pointed to the far horizon.
I think I see them.
Everyone turned to look and see who them was. In a matter of a few seconds, they could see Obsidian and Wingmaker flying toward them.
I thought Obsidian could carry her on his back.
Oriole said, turning to Altar.
He can. Maybe she just preferred to swim and get some exercise. Who knows?
The 2 flyers landed upon the beach and walked up to the fire pit. It was Wingmaker who spoke first.
The Queen has been returned to her old world.
How?
One who asked.
I didn't think any of you knew how to do that.
Obsidian grumbled a bit.
He knows how, perhaps not for himself, but for us travelers, he does.
Everyone around the fire pit narrowed their eyes at Obsidian's words and stared at Wingmaker.
You sent her back. Why?
Altar asked.
She was not going to raise her children to play nice.
Her children? She laid eggs?
36 of them to be precise.
Altar put her hand over her mouth.
You're kidding?
She looked at Obsidian for confirmation. He nodded.
How did you send her back?
Soin inquired.
The same way I sent her here, and all of you. Through a dimensional gate that I can open and close at will. Traveling between worlds or dimensions is as normal to me as breathing is to you. My rudimentary explanation is that I shift time to access a parallel experience of your consciousness and situate you in that parallel world, so you can only experience that world and no other.
You did this for each of us?
Joe blurted out his thoughts aloud without realizing.
You have that authority?
It is not a question of authority, it is a duty of knowledge. When one achieves the knowledge and capability to change the focus of consciousness from an infinite variety of worlds and spacetimes, they have a duty to use that knowledge for the good of all. No one gives me the authority to shift entities into new worlds. It is my duty, however, the knowledge and capability, as you can imagine, is not doled out haphazardly. It is carefully guarded, and those who possess this ability are exceedingly few in number.
You could send me back if I wanted?
Joe asked. Wingmaker nodded with a smile.
It's easier if you want it. The Queen was not interested in leaving behind this world and her offspring.
He glanced briefly at Obsidian.
Perhaps even him. She fought it the entire way. But once I make the decision, the recipient of the shift does not require acquiescence.
Are you staying here?
Sun Moon asked.
With us?
For a while,
You missed the announcement that one who is retiring, and I'm assuming the role he vacates. I wanted you as my whisperer. Will you honor me as such?
Soen would make such a better whisperer. With him, you get 10,000 opinions. With me, just one.
Please?
I will consider it.
Wingmaker replied, turning to One Who.
Congratulations on your retirement. May I offer you a suggestion?
One Who chuckled.
It seems everyone else is, you might as well you too.
Obsidian suddenly finds himself a single father in part, thanks to me. I believe he will need help educating his new children. They are very bright, no doubt, and they will need nurturing to find their gifts and potential to serve. You know how to do this. I can think of no one better than you to help them.
Alter shifted her position nervously.
Rearing them will be a challenge, just the sheer number of them. When will they hatch?
We don't know for sure.
Obsidian admitted.
In the air dragon world, our eggs hatch after 2 to 3 weeks, depending on the temperature. She laid these early today. I would think at least a week before they hatch, maybe more.
Eve would be a good choice to help raise them, not necessarily in terms of setting their moral code or altruism, but just being knowledgeable about the sea dragon ways.
Obsidian showed surprise at how they were all being supportive of him, when only 2 days ago he had threatened to harm all of them.
Thank you. We'll figure it out, I'm sure, with your help.
Perhaps Adam should join our council.
One Who said, looking at his fellow members, nodding their heads.
We'll need more sea dragon input on this council.
One Who rubbed his hands together.
Shall we begin our inaugural council meeting?
He suggested.
It will be an honor to chair the very first council of the Aligned.
They all sat down around the fire pit, with the shore gurgling behind them in the rhythmic pattern of the sea. Laughter and mirth punctuated the air, but there were also moments of solemnity and contemplation. The Council of the Aligned formed a broad agenda, but underneath every item there was the singular goal of peace as the highest duty of the Council, and the discovery of the common goal as the highest duty of society at large.